Jason, how would you rate your second season as head coach for Toronto FC2?
I think we've had some progress in terms of the way we played, being able to compete in a number of games, a lot more than we did last year, where we were fairly competitive. I believe this season we only lost, we lost 11 games by a 1-goal margin. So we were in tight games where it could have been decided either way. We're not happy to be losing games by no stretch of the imagination, but we're somewhat not pleased, but understanding of the level of competition for our players, and that the difference could be made 1 or 2 plays.
And the team had better results, as well as guys seeing consistent time with the first team. How important is drawing the line between winning and developing these players?
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. First and foremost, my priority and the way I see it is how many players can we push on to the first team. You know, there's been players from last season that were with us, and Jay Chapman, Jordan Hamilton, Mo Babouli has pushed up through the ranks. Alex Bono has been a massive contributor to the first team. And then you've also seen Raheem Edwards and Brian James and even Malik Johnson step onto the first team pitch. So those are encouraging signs. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but we're making some progress.
And in terms of readiness, do you feel there were players more prepared from the academy or from university or college play?
I think they both bring a unique sort of aspect to it. In terms of the college players, they're a lot more mature. Physically, they're more developed, obviously. But then you look at our academy players who have been coming through the system. They're used to training 10, 11 months of the year. None of them have actually reached sort of burnout level or, feeling fatigues of travel, as well as the length of the season in regards to games and training. Whereas some of the college players, I've seen this over 2 years now, in and around June, the majority of them feel fatigued. Because they're used to only playing a 3-4 month season, and whereas our academy players are used to 10 and a half, 11 months of the year. So like I said, they bring a different element to the puzzle.
And it's the second year that Toronto FC2 has been in the USL. Do you feel like the USL League has helped bridge and make it able for these young guys to make it in the MLS stage?
Yeah, I do feel it's a valuable component to have in our club structure. I was with the first team, when they didn't even have the reserve league. So it was the reserve league was there, then they took it away, and you had such players as Matt Stinson and the Oscar Cordones coming through, and they weren't involved on the match day, and they're 19 years old, and they didn't have a place to play. And I really feel that hurt their development, whereas now you see some of our players coming through, and even the draft picks, and they're into the club and they're not selected for the first team. And if you don't have a second team to play in a competitive league, which I feel is a great level for this particular age group of players, then you're not going to improve and you're not going to play. So the game is the best teacher, and you need to play and get those match minutes, and that's something that this league and this team has certainly been able to offer.
And now the season is over. It is the off season. What are the plans for the next couple of months, and any goals that you want to kind of set in mind for these guys looking ahead to 2017?
Yeah, we've implemented a program. We started it last year with regards to things off the pitch that they can do to help them in terms of seeing different situations better. How do they relax and be able to handle the pressures of full-time football? Meditation type of techniques, as well as we're going to still be training up until November 15th and working on it's a different phase of training, but more specific things, some technical execution and improvement, and we'll be playing a couple of games, competitive games, sort of in-house, in order to continue to evaluate the players. In addition to that, we've got a number of trialists that will be coming through. Some have already been here, some will continue to come through, because we're always trying to improve the talent level. But in the off season, there is going to be a time for a mental shutdown and a bit of R&R to get away from it. But we don't want to be too stagnant and resting for too long a period of time, because it's important that you continue. They're young still, and they're working at their trade and trying to improve. So rest is going to be important, but not too much of it.
How difficult is it to walk that tightrope between the development process and getting results as a team?
It's a challenge. I think us as an organization, as a team, myself as a coach, we're going to be under a bit more pressure, you know, in order to get some more results next season. But like I said, realistically, when you really look at it, any sort of second team around the world, the biggest thing is, can you produce players for the first team? For me, that's the biggest benchmark. We're competitive. We want to win for sure, and we're going to need to get a few more wins than we did this season. But at the same time, if I can start pushing through more players to the first team that can get, you know, reasonable minutes with them and help them to move forward as a club, then in my mind, you know, we're doing a good thing. But we still don't want to ignore the fact that we want to win more games, for sure.
We asked a bunch of the players, and a lot of them said that their final home game against Orlando was their favorite moment of the season. They felt that a lot of things came together that match. Did you see something similar in that?
Yes, I did, for sure. Three particular games were important for me. The game against Montreal at their place in the Olympic Stadium, we were winning 1-0. Then they drew it 85th minute, 1-1, and then we got a wonder goal from Malik to win the game 2-1. That was a nice little benchmark for us, where we had gone to that stadium 2 years in a row and beat them. So that was important. The second game was Cincinnati. We lost the game 2-1, but I was pleased that the players were able to show themselves in that environment. 19,000 people. We were up 1-0, and then all of a sudden they scored 2 goals within basically 2 minutes. And how loud it was in that stadium for our players to be able to experience, you know, some of them 17 years old, was fantastic for me as a coach to sit on that sideline and see them not shrink in that atmosphere, but to embrace it and still play their football. Despite the loss, I thought that was a very huge step for us. And then obviously, as stated, the game against Orlando, you know, we haven't been playing out of a 4-4-2 diamond system all year, but we implemented it towards the back end of the season, and we thought the players, everything came together in that game, you know. And for some selfish reasons, Ben Spencer coming back from injury, Clement Simonin, who had been struggling with injury for a long period of time, both got to see some valuable minutes. The team played really well and showed strength of character to come back from a goal down. And lastly, the supporters were fantastic that day. You know, the support we get out in Vaughan, the help from Maurizio Bellavaca and the City Council of Vaughan, as well as the OSA. You know, it's fantastic support, and hopefully we encourage the supporters to come back out, because that was a good way to close out our homestand.
And how close of an eye do you keep sort of on the academy teams below to watch for upcoming talent, and what do you think of the talent that's in this area?
Yeah, it's an important part of my job. I need to know what's coming through. I'm in constant communication with Stuart Neely and Danny Dicchio and Laurent, the academy director, in terms of who's doing well, who's not doing well. I come out to watch some of their training sessions, not all of them, but a few when I can. And I come out to watch some of their matches when the schedule permits. I was out there on Sunday to see them play against North Mississauga, and they put on a good performance, you know. Winning the game, I believe it was 2-0. Rashawn Phillips had scored one. He missed a PK, but you know, it's important to see who's coming through and who's doing well. And as you can see from our roster, the amount of players that we've given opportunity to from Pod 1 has been quite good this year, and it's the next logical step to see what they can handle. So it is very important that I know who's coming through.